We started as a voluntary group back in the 80s. A sort of group that grew out of the community in response to local concerns about the way waste was being handled. There was very little recycling going on at that time. So we decided to campaign to try and persuade the council to actually set up a doorstep recycling scheme. And it was a bit of a radical idea in those days. It's old hat nowadays, everybody's doing it, but in those days very few people were. And the council more or less laughed at us. So we actually rolled our sleeves up and started doing it ourselves. A bunch of about 20 volunteers give up Saturday mornings to go out and collect other people's rubbish for recycling. And we did that for 8 years before we finally convinced the council that they would give us a contract. There's a certain amount of natural leadership qualities, which lots of people have, and some never really use. As far as running a business goes, I think it was possible to run it as a small business on people's skills and common sense, and those came naturally from the willingness to kind of get out in front. As the company's grown, I've had to learn a bit more. The sort of natural leadership I think wasn't enough, or isn't enough. So I've had to work to learn a set of skills, to become more aware of what I'm doing. The sort of common sense is not enough when you're responsible for 42 people's jobs. I suppose it was a bit of a challenge to my own self-perception, I suppose. I had to do quite a lot of rethinking about my relationships with others within the company, and I suppose that's still happening really. It's been a constant move for me over the 13 years, moving away from actually going out there picking up stuff on the doorstep to really representing the company and leading the workforce. I think a lot of the training that I've had around leadership stuff has been more about giving me the confidence that I'm actually doing it fine. I think an awful lot of leadership training is designed to do that, to give people the confidence to keep doing what they're doing. I really enjoyed the learning, really enjoyed the experience of the learning, but again I think the most that it did for me in applying it to the workplace was that it gave me the confidence to be a leader. It was part of that transition that I needed to do to starting to see myself as a clear leader. When we started the organisation, we were all a bunch of mates. We didn't need anything like disciplinary procedures or any of that rubbish because we all got on together. And it was a hard lesson, a tough lesson when somebody came into the company who was difficult and challenged the way we did things in quite a negative way, and we didn't have the procedures in place to deal with that. So I would certainly start off in a more business-like way, and that's one of the problems with a lot of social enterprises, in that people develop those enterprises, they're idealists and they have no business experience. So certainly gaining some business experience in the early days, not necessarily before you start, but in the very early days, is something I would thoroughly recommend to anybody embarking on the journey that we embarked on here. I have regular monthly meetings with Chairman of the Board and Vice Chairman and one other board member. I network a lot with other leaders of similar organisations, learn a lot from conversations with them. I always maintain that the purpose of going to conferences is the lunch and bar times in the evenings, because the conversations I have there with people doing the same work teach me far more than any of the presentations I see during the day. So I think networking for me has been really important. I think one of the challenges for me is to be knowing as Chief Executive what I should be involved in and what I should be just trusting others, the senior managers, to deal with, and me not really getting involved at all. I'm constantly being told by my senior managers that I'm interfering, and I should get a separate office somewhere down the road where I can't see what's going on.
Strategy, not operations.
Yeah, so it's a constant challenge for me to know what I should be involved in, what I shouldn't be involved in, and it'd be really useful for me to have somebody a lot more experienced shadow me for a while. Somebody said to me once that good leaders want to develop the people who work under them, and that bad leaders fear the people who work under them, and therefore keep them in their place. I'd like to think that, well, I know I get pleasure out of helping the people who work for me to develop.